Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Michelle Morris with Consolidated Planning Group. I've had a great time this week hosting 3 webinars that we have produced ourselves and put together in order to help the community. I hope that you've been watching. We do webinars 2 or 3 times every week, and we hope that you join as many as you want, as many as you can. What we have found is that a lot of times people will visit the same webinar multiple times and you pick up different things at each visit. There's so much information. And if one little bit of an action item or a bit of knowledge gets into your head with each webinar, hey, that is fantastic. So today we're going to be talking about educational options beyond high school for our loved ones. Please let me know if you have any sound issues. I'm trying to sit a little further back today. So if the sound is weird, let me know. I'll rearrange. A couple of things before we get started. I can't see or hear the audience. So any questions or comments that you have, I want you to put those in the chat box. That's the easiest way for me to present the material and watch for questions to come in and comments. And I love those. I love your questions and comments. That's why I've asked everyone if you want to test out the chat box, because if you need it for a question, you want to know how it works. So if you're interested in letting me know who your favorite band is, we can, have a lighthearted question to start off today's topic. The other thing I want to let you know, besides to use the chat box, is yes, we record all of these webinars. We put them on our YouTube channel. We also send every participant an email that has a link to that YouTube channel recording and the slides from the webinar. Now, today's slides are filled with links and information, and you're really going to want these. So if you have not registered, maybe you're watching this webinar on our YouTube channel, or maybe you are listening on our podcast, we'd be happy to send you the slides. All you need to do is email us contact@cpgcares.net. That's CPG for Consolidated Planning Group. So thank you again for being here. Consolidated Planning Group is located just outside of Houston, Texas, but we serve families all across the United States. We can use the internet. We are not bound by state lines or anything like that. We are registered to work in all states. So if you know anybody in the United States who might benefit from the resources that we provide, please tell them about us. Feel free to share our webinars, our website, our information, and we can help them. Now, we are dedicated to serving the special needs community. And it's very important to us to help advocate for people and educate families. And the reason is because not only do we do this at work every single day, but all 4 financial advisors at Consolidated Planning Group are parents to loved ones with needs. So we do this in our daily lives as well. We truly understand what you're facing in your life because we've been through it. All right. We've got over 30 years of experience in financial services. So if you think about a company like Edward Jones or Charles Schwab, Vanguard, Fidelity, we do everything that those companies do for you, but we customize it. We make it more personal, and we understand the nuances of the other side of your house and the planning that needs to be done related to a special needs loved one. So we can help you with life insurance, financial information, securities, investments, all of that. But also, we are chartered special needs consultants. We are members of the Special Needs Planning Academy, and we're nationally certified Social Security advisors. So we can help you with all of those areas in addition to traditional financial planning. Again, we focus everything on your family's specific situation. And families come to us because we help with things like lifetime care planning. What does that care for your loved one look like after you're gone, or when you cannot physically take care of them anymore? We talk a lot about planning for different transition periods in people's lives and what needs to happen at those different transitions. We can help with ABLE accounts, set one up for you and make sure that you're using it correctly. But not ABLE accounts. There's waiver programs, there's the special needs trust, there's Medicaid and Medicare. And how do all of these things work together to make a well-rounded plan for your loved one? We help you think about that future cost of care after you've passed away, but your loved one is still living. In order to continue their care at the high level that you've been providing, what is that going to cost? And how can you set aside enough money into the special needs trust to make sure that it's there for your loved one? We help with state and federal benefits and local resources. And we're here to advocate for you and to educate you. I truly believe, and I used to be a teacher before I was in financial services. So I truly believe that an educated community is a stronger community. And the more information we put out there and help all of you learn these things, the more you can go out and help your friends and neighbors and relatives understand these topics. And the entire community will be lifted by this process. So thank you for also being advocates and being here to learn. There are over 263,000 financial advisors in the United States, but out of that 263,000, fewer than 200 focus on special needs planning the way that we do. So you are definitely in the right place. It's less than 0.1% of all the financial advisors who can help with the special needs side as well. So a few key concepts and things to think about. If nothing else, take these with you. And this is something we talk about in every webinar. Think about what is going to happen after high school. When your loved one graduates, do you want them to graduate to the couch or to the tablet or to the video games? Or do you want them to have an educational program, maybe a day program or transition? There are so many options out there. There are vocational programs where they can help train and find work. We do want you to look into these options early and think about, what makes a good next step for your loved one. Now, in the future, when you are unable to take care of your loved one, and throughout this talk, I'm probably going to refer to child a lot. I don't necessarily mean like a child, like a 5-year-old, a minor. I mean child as in your offspring. So take that into consideration. But when you're thinking about what's going to happen to your child when you can't take care of them anymore, think about what residential options might fit them. Go tour those places, check them out early, see if they have a waiting list, see if they have a summer camp that your loved ones can participate in so that they get to know the community a little bit before they go to live there. Start planning now. It's really important to have these plans done when you are calm and relaxed and you're not in a crisis situation. It is tragic, and I can speak from personal experience because unfortunately on 4th of July weekend, I had a very, very good friend who was in an accident and passed away. To this day, his family cannot find his will. He owned a business and his business is currently unsure what to do in certain aspects. His family is struggling. So you need to make sure that these things are taken care of ahead of time, not during the crisis. The last thing that we want you to think about as you're considering who will take care of your child when you're gone, a lot of people say, oh, a sibling. We've got little Susie. Her big brother, Mikey, is going to take care of her. He's promised. He told us he's okay with it. They're best friends. It's going to be fine. Well, you know what? When Mikey gets a little older, he's going to have his own job, his own family, his own issues. And he might find that taking care of little Susie is much more than he thought it was going to be. From the other perspective, Mikey might be feeling a little bit of resentment towards you if you leave him to care for his sister. What about little Susie? Here, she's been best friends with her brother. They've been running mates and partners in crime, and they've had a great time together. But now that best friend is stepping into a caregiving role, which might feel like an authoritarian position and makes Susie a little bit resentful of her brother. So, just all of that to say, think long and hard before you automatically assume that a sibling is going to make a great caregiver. So, today we're really going to focus in on educational options beyond high school. So, what options are out there for our loved ones? How do you find a school that's going to be a good fit for them? Where do you get support if you need help throughout this process? And how on earth are we going to afford paying for college? A question that almost all parents ask. So feel free to take notes, but you will receive the slides and the link to the recording for this webinar. So the first thing we want to talk about is thinking about the options. You know, not every person is the same. No two people are the same, as a matter of fact. And you need to embrace your child's unique journey. Don't compare them to the neighbors across the street or the kids at school or their best friends or even their siblings. Everyone is different. You know, some people use that saying about, you know, if a flower isn't blooming, you don't blame the flower, you change its soil or sunlight or water. I think of it as popcorn because that's my favorite snack. My grandpa taught me to make popcorn on the stove. So, you know, when you put your popcorn in there, there's the oil, there's your pan. It's all in the same pan, in the same oil, at the same temperature, on the same stovetop. But never, ever are all of those popcorn kernels going to pop at the same time. You have some that come early, the majority pop kind of in the middle few moments. And then you have some stragglers at the end. And there's always a couple of kernels at the bottom of the bowl that just don't ever pop. I don't get mad at them. I don't yell at them. I don't feel frustrated that why didn't you guys pop when all your siblings did? It just is what it is. It's not a big deal. We are where we are. We're not behind, we're not ahead, we just are. All you have is today. So focus on today. Plan from where they are and think about their unique strengths. What are they particularly well suited for? Keep an open mind. Everybody should have realistic expectations. You know, think of all possibilities. There is a traditional path that is becoming more and more non-traditional. I think that nowadays there are far fewer students who go straight from high school into a four-year college and graduate and go out to the workforce. It's not a typical path anymore. So the fact that your child might be on a different journey is becoming more and more the regular. Find the right fit for your loved one. Focus on what path is truly right for them. It's hard, but we can't, you know, dictate what they do. We need them to be happy in their own world and to be successful in their own right and in the way that they wish to be. So for me, I do have a son who lives up in Chicago, and he is super happy. I thought when he was young that he was going to be an engineer, but it turns out that he's perfectly happy working at Pet Supplies Plus during the day and being a professional musician in the evenings. Now, it's not what I thought he would do, but he's happy. He doesn't ask for too much money, and he's on his own. And what more could I hope for, right? So even though the path that your child goes on might not be what you thought, it's their path. Let them enjoy it. It might be a university, it might be a trade school, or some other kind of transition program. Maybe it's an academic path that they go on, like a regular university degree program. Maybe they'll go to school. Maybe they'll even stay for a postgraduate degree. Maybe community college is going to be better. Or maybe you're not quite sure, so you're going to have them just take one or two classes and see how this college thing works out for them. And, you know, not all college kids have to live on campus. They can live at home and go to a community college or a regular university or anything they want to do. They might decide on a vocational track. My other son, the one who's not a musician, My younger son is an aircraft mechanic. He decided to go to trade school and take classes to learn that. So mechanics and plumbers and electricians are so needed in our world today. So don't worry if your child wants to do that. They can go to a trade school. They can go through a certificate program or get a license to do something. There's plenty of careers where you don't have to go to college. You can just study and get a license like real estate. You can become a realtor without ever needing to go to college. There's also programs through the Texas Workforce Commission, which we're going to talk about a little bit more later, where they can help train your loved one, your student, for a career or help pay for classes for them. Maybe they're not looking for a school and they're not looking for a career. They're looking for a transition program, something that can teach them some more life skills and independent living skills, maybe a little bit of employment skills, but maybe something that focuses on transitioning to adulthood overall. Maybe they'll partner with an organization that can help provide those skills while they go to college. Or maybe a partial care residential option, where they go live in a community and have people around to help support them. But while at that community, they can also work or attend classes or live their best lives however they wish. So there is no perfect path. There is no normal path anymore, especially with our kids. So there was a study done at the Frostig Center where they studied what attributes people need to have as they head out into adulthood and specifically out into an educational setting that are going to really help them build a successful life. And these things are not necessarily, algebra or how to write a wonderful literature review or, how to do a scientific equation. The things that you learn in your high school classes are not typically going to be these things. These might be things that you have to talk about at home. Self-awareness, helping your child understand certainly their strengths, but also the hurdles that they face, what they love to do, what they don't like to do, what their diagnosis is and how that impacts them, and what superpowers it gives them. We want them to be aware of themselves. One way I've heard parents kind of training this in their children is to have them, maybe on the way to the doctor's office, you're going to ask your child, okay, tell me about your diagnosis and how it impacts you on a daily basis. Get your kid talking about this. We don't need to be ashamed. We don't need to hide the diagnosis. Help them be more aware of themselves. Proactivity, taking the time to say, hey, wait a minute, I don't understand this. I don't understand what we're talking about. Or, hey, I have a deadline coming up in class and I know I'm going to need to do this work, so I better get started. Or, I'm really sick and tired of sitting at home. I want to be proactive in finding a job and getting out there. These are skills that need to be taught, especially with teenagers. Most teenagers don't just automatically come self-aware and proactive and with tons of perseverance. We need to teach these things. Speaking of perseverance, that's that skill that tells them to keep trying. And if your child is self-aware and they know that they struggle in an area, it's going to help them with the other attributes here. For example, I know that even though I'm a financial advisor, I am not good at math. So I know that I'm going to struggle if I'm in a situation where I need to use math. So I'm going to allow myself some more time. I'm going to look ahead to prepare myself for that. I'm going to make sure that my calculator batteries are charged. I'm going to keep trying, even though at first I might struggle, because I know it's hard for me, but I'm going to persevere. I'm going to keep trying. And that's huge for your loved ones as well. If they know that, for example, this social situation that I'm getting ready to walk into might be a little bit difficult for me, So I know that I need to check in with myself and know when I'm starting to get flustered or when it's beginning to be too much, or bring my headphones, or check in with mom or dad or a friend when I need to. It's perfect. Goal setting is huge. And again, you might need to help your child understand how to set goals, how to chunk them into little pieces that are more bite-sized, maybe a vision board, or helping them think about the future. These are ways to help them thinking about what their goals are. Scheduling, calendars, all of that kind of stuff is very important, especially if they do go to a college education. They're going to have assignments. They're going to have class times that they have to keep up with, maybe lab work, things like that. So teaching them how to set goals, set schedules, and keep track of those. Using support systems. Now, this is great because there are support systems out there. I mean, when it comes to all of these things, you want goal setting support systems, you know, make a checklist, make a virtual appointment calendar, use those support systems. And it's not just using them, but knowing that, not just knowing that they're there, but using them. So, for example, there might be a teacher's assistant or a office hours that you can go talk to your professor. Use those things. Use the clinic at the school. Use the support group. Meet with whatever clubs and things that you like to do and use those as support. And don't just know that they're there, but actually go. And then those emotional coping strategies. Uh, it might be screaming into a pillow or exercising or going for a walk, dancing, turning up music really loud and just screaming along with it and dancing. One thing that I do for coping strategies is I have a coloring book, an adult coloring book with very intricate lines. And when things just get to be too much, you might see me with my coloring book and colored pencils just tuning the world out. So whatever those coping strategies are, help your student develop those and harness the help that those bring. Now, every college has a disability services office. This is the office that is mandated by law. It's an ADA law that they have this Office of Disability on campus to support the student needs and to help you, uh, provide accommodations and things like that. They can give you extended time on testing. They can help with assistive technology. They can help coordinate accessibility with your professors. But it is important to contact your school's Office of Disability before you enroll in the school because they're not all created equal. Some might have very robust programs and a great staff who's really tuned in and knows what they're doing. Whereas other schools, their Office of Disability might be one or two people who do that on the side with everything else that they do, and they don't really have very many programs. This link right here can help guide you to different campuses, offices of disability, or you can just check the website for the schools you're considering and contact their offices. Now, with the Office of Disability, you do have to register with them. It'll be on the college's website, and it's a totally separate process from admissions. But you do need to register with the Office of Disability. They're going to want some documentation to understand the diagnosis and the needs of your loved one with specific details. Then you can meet with an advisor. You're going to schedule an intake meeting with the disability services counselor and discuss what you need. And there's usually a few forms to fill out, but talk to them about what accommodations and what help and supports you need. Then you'll get that accommodation letter where they're going to spell out in a formal letter what accommodations they're approving for your loved ones, and then you notify the professors. They're not going to magically know. And let me tell you, when you get into college life, they don't want to hear from parents anymore. It's not like when your kids were in elementary school and the teachers want parent involvement as much as possible. When your kids go to college, the schools don't want to hear from you anymore. They want to speak with your kids. They want your kids to be in charge. They want some of that autonomy and that self-awareness to come out. So notify the professors of what accommodations have been approved, and you probably have to give them that letter updated each semester just to make sure that they have that communicated properly and those accommodations are being implemented in classroom. So some common accommodations and services, even at the college level, that we see is, academic things like more time on testing, maybe note-taking assistance, or using calculators during exams like I need to. Maybe it's a physical accessibility issue that they can help with, like modifications to make sure that the buildings and facilities are accessible, or assistance for kids who need a wheelchair. They can provide assistive technology, talk to text software, voice recognition software, listening devices, audiobooks. They might be a little bit more flexible with some of their policies to accommodate your student. Maybe the attendance policy can be a little bit more flexible if your loved one needs to have doctor's appointments. Or maybe deadlines can be a little bit softer for those students who need extra time. As long as it's not, an essential part of the class and the professor can justify that, they might be able to provide those. And then there's also auxiliary services like library resources. Do you need readers or materials in different formats? Do you need assistance with doing paperwork and like financial aid applications, or getting the resources that you need? What do you need? Let the school know, and they're going to be able to help you out. Now, I don't see any questions or comments in the chat box yet, so I'm just going to keep going. But there are some schools that are specifically specialized in certain areas for students with differences. For example, Beacon College is a 4-year college that is exclusively for students with ADHD and learning disabilities. I'm going to say it wrong, Gallaudet University. I'm sure that's not how it's pronounced, but it's for deaf students and hard of hearing. There's Landmark College that helps focus on students with learning disabilities, autism, and ADHD. Perkins School for the Blind. The answer is in the title there. There's the Southwest College for the Deaf in Big Spring, Texas. And they are the only self-contained community college for the hearing impaired in the United States. And they use ASL as their primary means of communication. So there are some different universities that really focus on this. Some of these are in Texas, some are not. When you receive these slides later on, you guys, let's be real for a second. I worked so hard putting all of these links on these slides. So if you get these slides later on and you click Landmark College and the link doesn't go where you expected, or it doesn't work, if you could just send me a little note, you can email me or text me and just let me know if a link doesn't work so that I can fix it. Okay. Manya says, are these universities in Texas? Some of them are, some of them are not. Priscilla says, I'm in Texas and my daughter has Down syndrome. Do you know of colleges for her? And Marie says, I would like to ask the same for PE. Okay. So with these schools, what I did was an internet search for specialized schools that focus on kids with disabilities. And these are the schools that I found. I didn't write every single one down. There are lots out there, but check into some of these and see if they might be a good fit for you. Now, more options. And this is going to answer the question. I see questions like, what about um, autism? What about Down syndrome? What about ADHD and learning disabilities? Do they mean they don't want autism? Well, there's a lot more. There's a lot more coming. So these schools have a specific program called the Inclusive Post-Secondary Educational Program, IPSE. And this is things like the UNT Elevar program or Aggie Achieves. We've heard of these maybe if we're here in Texas. They have programs like this all across the country at various different colleges and universities. For example, Syracuse University, they have a highly regarded program that gives students with IDD a full inclusive college experience. The Aggie Achieves program at Texas A&M is great. They can help with career planning and practice independent living skills and inclusive coursework. University of North Texas has their Elevar program. There's the UI Reach program, and I know that there's other Reach programs all across the country. Vanderbilt University has a great program called Next Steps. So just get out there and start looking. Now, I'm not going to be able to say, oh, let's see, let's pick someone's name from the chat. Marie, this Syracuse University program is going to be perfect for your loved one. I don't know. I don't know your loved one, and I don't know everything about that program. You are going to have to do some research on your own, of course, but these are great places to get started and to get looking at. What about transportation and security at these institutions? Well, every college campus is worried about security. That's not unique to our children. Every college campus has to be secure. And that's an important question for any school you look at for any student. Now, transportation to these classes, if your loved one doesn't drive, maybe they can take public transportation. Maybe they can use an Uber or Lyft or a rideshare program. Maybe a nearby friend or relative or you can help drive them. There are waiver programs here in Texas and across the country that can help pay for transportation. So maybe use your waiver program to help your child get to school. There's a lot of options out there, from them having their own license to you paying someone to take your kid to school. So a lot of different options out there. Here are some more programs that are similar that you can check out that provide just more supportive, inclusive academic structure and various, they're more patient, they're more supportive in these programs than they would be with other students. So like the University of Houston Clear Lakes Connecting to College program, or Alvin Community College has the Strive program. HCC here in Houston has Vast Academy. Texas State has the Bobcat Rise program. And I listed some in other states as well, just to highlight the fact that there are schools all across the country that have these great programs. You don't have to be right here in Texas, and your child does not have to stay right here in Texas. So where do you start your search, and how do you find these great schools? Well, if you're thinking about the United States, think college. Excuse me. Think College is a directory that will help you find information on over 358 different post-secondary educational programs for students with needs. It says specifically here intellectual disability, but they do take students of all shapes and sizes and abilities. And Think College has a great search feature where you can put in different states, different areas of academics, different sizes of schools, living accommodations, and you can search by all of that to help you find a good fit for your loved one. Now, if you think that you might want to send your student to Europe for studies, There is a program and a website called Join In, and that's a centralized hub for information about these programs in Europe for students, those inclusive programs. And each of these underlined are links, so you can go over to those websites and check those out. I see a question in the chat box. Will a certificate help with job applications? Yeah, some jobs you only need a certificate to be able to do. Now, it seems to me that a lot of jobs that require a certificate would usually pay for that certificate and put your child in the program to get that certificate, or they'll have information about it. But you can certainly get some kind of a certificate that's going to help your child find a job. And can they study part-time and work? Of course, whatever fits with their schedule. So we've been talking about searching for a great school for your loved one. What if you just flat out don't have time to go through all this? You don't have time to be searching for colleges and visiting colleges and trying to find everything out and applying and all of this stuff. Well, there are college search consultants that can help you find a really good school that's going to be a good fit for your loved one. I've listed some of those out on this slide. Accessible College, Top College Consultants, Custom College Consulting, the College Spy, Solomon Admissions, Ivy Wise. And we've had webinars with some of these programs in the past. So these are options for you to look at. Now, I just took a big sigh because I see the question, is a college search consultant affordable? Well, Manya, I can't really answer that question for you because, first of all, I don't know what you think is affordable. And I don't really know what all of these different consultants charge. So you need to implement that question with different college sources. I particularly like the College Spy. She does a really good job of going out and touring college campuses. She even has these card decks that you can use when you go tour college campuses that give ideas for your student to ask while you're touring the campus. So that's pretty cool. There's a lot out there for us. We just got to go see where to find it. Now, once your kiddo gets to college, it might feel like they're out there just kind of hanging on their own. And what are we going to do about that? Well, there is something called the College Living Experience. This is a dedicated program that empowers young adults to achieve their higher education goals. It's an approach that features comprehensive academic support, individualized guidance, and partnerships with over 100 colleges in 8 different locations around the US. So they make sure that the students have the capability to succeed wherever their passion leads them, whether it's at community college or a big university. The link is here for the College Living Experience. There's also Bloom Consulting. They have something called Campus Connections, which is a program where they provide supports to your student while your student's at school. They have a wraparound planning process where they provide personalized support team for your student that gives them a coach. They can give mentoring and guidance, help them with navigating the academic and social journey, and provide them with information about, things like self-advocacy and living skills. Mansfield Hall is another pretty cool program that we learned about. Mansfield Hall is a special residential living community at various colleges in Eugene, Oregon, Madison, Wisconsin, and Burlington, Vermont. They have several schools in each of those areas, but this is a dorm experience made for students who need additional academic, executive functioning, social, and independent living skills support. They have counselors and residential advisors who live in the halls with the students. Part of that same company is Canopy College Coaching. And that's more of a virtual program that can provide coaching and supports and academic help virtually to colleges and universities all across the country if your child needed that. And again, what the pricing is like on these programs, I'm not really sure, but they're out there and they are there to help you. And these are great programs, so check into them. Is there a college that does music for special needs students? I would definitely check that Think College website and see what they have to say. Also, check into some of these schools with the IPS. Let's find that thing again. IPSE program, and see, A&M, Texas A&M. Surely they've got music programs, and they have this great post-secondary education program that can provide supports. So, cross compare the schools for things like that. All right, we've talked about Canopy College coaching, the Texas Workforce Commission. So the Texas Workforce Commission here in Texas, in other states, every state has vocational rehab that helps people who live in that state find supports, job coaching, training, and help them really be able to find and keep a job. So this is not just a Texas program, but it is in every state, a state agency. And if your state is not providing funding, it could be that these programs are a little slow. But once you get in, oh, they're so good. They can help train students. They can help you decide what careers you might want to check out and try to get into. And they assist businesses that are interested in hiring individuals with needs and who are willing to be more patient and supportive with our loved ones. So the Texas Workforce Commission programs or the vocational rehabilitation programs in your state are really, really good. But you do sometimes have to pack your patience. Now, probably about sophomore, junior year in high school, there should be a vocational rehabilitation counselor or advocate or liaison at the high school. So reach out to that person or just use this handy dandy link to go to the Texas Vocational Rehab Program. All right, let's talk a little bit about, I see a big question. I have a student who should be on what we used to call the TAKS, TAKS-M, alternative assessment. She can read and do basic math. She wants to go to college. Can students who graduate on a 22 credit plan still apply for colleges though? Don't they have to take the ACT or SAT or pass a basic entrance exam? No. Some community colleges, most community colleges do not require an SAT or ACT score. And did you know that you can get accommodations on those tests too? If your kiddo needs it, you can call up who is it that does the SAT? I can't remember the name of the College Bound, maybe? Or I know Praxis does teacher testing, the College Board, thank you. You can contact them and say, hey, my student needs accommodations. What do we need to show or prove or sign up for to get accommodations? But not every school requires that. So don't let that deter you. There seemed to be more opportunity for male students more than female. Well, Marie, I'm sorry that you're finding that. I've got a lot to say about that, but I'm just gonna behave myself. I actually went to a women's college, a 2-year liberal arts women's college, where I completed most of my core courses and then several courses in my degree area. So I didn't find that to be true, but that's because I went to a women's only college. Maybe you should check that out. So how on earth are we going to pay for this? First of all, fill out the FAFSA. every single year, you need to fill out the FAFSA. Even if you think that you make too much money to get student aid from the government, you need to fill it out. And the reason is that the colleges get this information and they use the information to help them determine how to pass out scholarships and divide up scholarship money and all of that stuff. They rely on that information. So you must fill it out if you want any kind of financial aid from the school or from the government. It's best to do it as soon as you can, as soon as they put that application out there. It used to always be October, and then they changed it, and now I'm not quite sure what they've changed it to this year, but make sure you fill out your FAFSA. Of course, there are scholarships available. We're going to be talking about several pages worth of scholarships, but when you're thinking about that, I want you to think of what your loved one is into. Is your student in drama club or music or a sport? You can get scholarships from all of those. Maybe they're in a civic organization or they attend some kind of philanthropic organization. Here in the Houston, Texas area, there's a huge group called Ducks Unlimited that focus on conservation efforts and duck hunting. There's a lot of kids who are involved in that. Check things like that for scholarships if your kids are into it. My music guy, he looked to his band director and the school of music and even my grandparents' jazz club that they founded. They didn't have a scholarship, but it was a great path, good idea. Maybe their hobbies can lead to scholarships. Maybe their personal background or their medical condition. Just pay close attention. Apply to as many scholarships as you can, but it might be important to keep a notebook or a spreadsheet so you have those deadlines written down because they do vary. And of course, a 529 college savings plan. The college savings plan is a tax-advantaged investment plan. You might have heard us talk a lot about the ABLE account. This is its counterpart. Now, the 529 college savings plan can only be used for educational expenses, whereas the ABLE account can be used for much, much more. If you haven't heard me talk about that, check out our other webinars and you'll find a lot of information about the ABLE account versus the 529 college savings account. Other ways to fund college, you can use the ABLE account to pay for your educational expenses. Again, the ABLE account is a tax-advantaged savings account for individuals who have a disability that started before age 46. They do not impact the child's assets in terms of SSI or Medicaid. And when you use that money from the ABLE account on anything for your loved one, there's no penalties or taxes. Also, vocational rehab through the Texas Workforce Commission or your state's Workforce Commission can help pay for college costs if they write it into your loved one's plan, okay, as you prepare for employment. Marie wants to know if anybody knows of a place that can help their child with bike riding. Marie, I don't know what area you're in, so if you would let us know, maybe someone in your area is also here and can tell you about that. All right, so first of all, when it comes to scholarships, if you adopted your child through the foster care system or through the state, did you know that they can have a free state college tuition waiver? Free college for adopted kids, that's right. Now, we are talking about adoptions through the state. Unfortunately, I don't think it includes, personal adoption services or international adoptions. But if they were adopted through the state, free college tuition. Next place you can look is through your child's medical system. Texas Children, Baylor College of Medicine, Memorial Hermann, all of those medical systems would have lists of scholarships that you can check out. But of course, we've got computers. We can look all of these up. We can use a scholarship search engine like any of these listed here. Or you can just go start typing in autism scholarship, epilepsy scholarship, um, deaf scholarships, blind scholarships. These are some links that we've pulled out. Now, these I really hope work, but these may or may not still be offered. If they're not offered anymore, just let me know. I'll take it off the list. There's a wheelchair scholarship, a learning disabilities scholarship, one for allergies and asthma. There's so much out there. So search by your child's diagnoses. Um, there are also, all those fun scholarships, like that one through duct tape. Have you heard of that? Where your individual makes a prom outfit out of duct tape, and you can win a big scholarship that way. There's a lot out there. So focus on the big ones. Little scholarships are fine, but $100 there and $50 there isn't going to do very much for you. Look for the larger ones. There's also a scholarship that I guess I missed out in putting a slide about called, I can't believe I left that slide out. Y'all, I'm falling off on my duties. Okay, if you're in Texas, there is a specific scholarship program called the Terry Scholarship, the Terry Foundation Scholarship. And you can attend any of the major 12 state colleges on the Terry Scholarship. Now they're looking for students who do a lot of volunteer work, and they'll provide a full 4-year, full ride, room and board and tuition scholarship for those students. Now, if your student, maybe they really want to go to A&M, but they get into Sam Houston and they get the Terry Scholarship, you can transfer from Sam Houston once you're there for 1 year and take the scholarship with you to A&M. Isn't that cool? If you want more information about the Terry Scholarship, go ahead and email me and I'll send you information about that. I'm really sorry, and I'm going to fix this webinar and put it in there. Add. All right. So there are some great books out there that you can consider looking over to help you choose choose colleges. The K&W Princeton Review Guide is always very popular. They have a specific guide to colleges for students with learning differences. So that's very cool. You can check out that book. The Fisk Guide to Colleges will talk to you about all of the schools out there. This cool book, Colleges That Change Lives, focuses on smaller schools that might have a larger impact. What I want you to know from my experience looking at colleges is, we used the school portal that helped a lot with, the high school senior class portal thing had a lot of great information about searching for colleges. But what I learned is in our search, our student can go to a lower priced state school. It's a public school, and they're huge, and they might be a tiny little fish in a giant ocean of kids. It's a huge school with huge classes, but it's less expensive, and it's in-state tuition. So a lot of people think that they need to stick with that. But what I found out, and what I want you all to hear me say, is that an out-of-state private school, because they're smaller class sizes, smaller campuses, fewer students, and some of them have alumni organizations or philanthropic organizations, educational organizations that can help pay for scholarships. Once you look at a private out-of-state school with more scholarship opportunities and a smaller campus versus a giant in-state school with a smaller tuition but no scholarships, you might be equal. And when you get the letter from the school that talks to you about, here's your financial aid that we're going to offer you, did you know that that's negotiable? you can write back to the admissions officer that you've been talking to and say, oh man, my daughter really wants to go to college at Cody College in Missouri, but your tuition is just still a little out of our reach, even with these scholarships. If we had an additional $5,000, we could certainly um, sign that admission paperwork today. But if we don't get more help, we're going to have to look at a different school. They might come back with a better offer. Or you might say something like, oh, there's these two schools. They're both offering some scholarship help, but this school is offering a little bit more. Can you match? See what they say. The only thing, I mean, what if they say no? Okay. What if they say yes? That stuff is negotiable. This link will take you to our other webinars. We do have a new service that we're introducing. If you're interested in this, set up your free consultation with us. We can now do SSI and SSDI application advocacy and help you with those applications. This is our whole team at Consolidated Planning Group, but this is going to be here. I'm going to leave this up while I answer any last remaining questions that I see. This is how you schedule your free consultation with Consolidated Planning Group. Now, it would probably be with me. It might be with my husband, Andy, or with the company owner, Allison. Our goal is to join you on Zoom for about 30 to 45 minutes, answer any questions that you have left over about any topics related to special needs planning. And we tell you how we work and what our plans look like and what it's like to work with us. So I do have some questions that people sent in ahead of time before this webinar. He will be attending vocational post-secondary program from Prosper ISD. I hope that you'll give us additional options. Some additional options. So yeah, I hope I've given you a lot of different options. How to successfully file a TEA complaint. That's not really what this webinar is about, but we do have some educational advocates that I could pass on to you. If you're here, I'm not sure who it was that submitted this question, but if you have questions about filing TEA complaints, let me know and I'll send you the right people to help. My daughter wants to be a teacher's aide. Is there a pathway or job opportunity in that field? Of course, of course. It would require a little bit of college work, probably, depending on what kind of school she wants to be an aide at. But yeah, definitely look into that for her. Okay. I think that is everything that I have for you today. I hope that you've picked up some helpful information today. Please go ahead and schedule your free consultation. I promise we don't bite. My team will be calling everyone who registered for today's webinar to check with you and see if you have any additional questions or if you want to schedule this meeting. They're very kind. Please be kind back. If you would prefer, you can call or email me directly. My info is in the chat box, and I would go ahead and schedule that consultation for you. Join us next week for more helpful and insightful webinars, and check out our YouTube channel to see if there's information that you've missed out on in the past that you might want to see. I hope you all have a great week, and then I'll see you again soon, maybe in your own private Zoom consultation. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.